Welcome to another edition on Eye of Education. We are featuring the candidates for the Board of Education of the November 7th Nashua municipal election. I'm Ed Leish's your host, and we'll meet another candidate now. We're meeting Kirsten Prinn.
Yes, hi.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You've been in Nashua since 2007.
Yes, I have.
You're a teacher.
I am.
In Andover, Massachusetts.
Andover, yeah.
But you've almost seen a lot of the United States, going from
I have.
University of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Your first job was where?
In East Los Angeles, teaching, yes.
That was an experience, and you still stayed teaching after that.
I did. I still love it, I really do. I've been a teacher since 1997 in the public school classroom. Before that, I actually worked like in preschools and private schools. But even being in California, I just still love the kids. It's all about the kids for me.
That's right. Well, for our viewers who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Who I am? Oh gosh, what do they want to know? I am a huge, passionate person when it comes to education. When I finished high school and started college for a little while, I thought I was going to go into journalism, but I changed my mind when I started working with children in an after-school program, and I've never looked back. It's just so, for me, so exciting to see when kids learn something new and see them getting excited about a new concept. I taught first grade for a really long time, and I loved first grade because that's the year where they come to you with the tools to learn how to read, and by the end of the year, they're readers. I really love seeing that excitement in kids. And although the nature of how I teach has changed a lot in the last 25 years, the kids are still the same.
So this is your first run at elective office?
Yes, it is. I've never run for anything before in my life.
Why the Board of Education here in Nashua?
Because I really want to give back. I really do. And I feel that the experience I have as a teacher can help. I understand curriculum. I understand some of the laws around education and what's required. I also not that I'm in it for me, but my son is a 5th grader at Bicentennial. My daughter graduated in 2017 from Nashua North. I want to really help the community because I really care about our schools, and I just want to see what I can do to help.
Well, here you go.
Here I go.
What have you been doing for a campaign? Door to door?
I've been doing a lot of door to door. I did a forum at the high school with the other candidates,
with which the kids.
That was a little. I'm just not used to being.
They're great, aren't they?
Yes, they were great. They asked some really challenging questions, so it was definitely interesting. I also have been doing a lot of door-to-door, door knocking, introducing myself to people. Canvassing is new to me, so people were kind of laughing at me because I would stop by someone's house if I saw signs of people who I also knew who were running for the BOE. I would be like, hey, I would literally just pull into their driveway and stop and knock on their door and ask, just talking with them, talking about concerns that they have, and of course asking if I can put out a sign. And I also have a lot of friends who are parents here in the district, and I talk with them, and they've given me feedback about their thoughts and concerns about the schools, and also the successes, not just concerns. And it's been nice to hear from people. It really has.
What are some of the concerns you're getting from folks as you talk to them?
It feels like a lot of parents have reached out to me about just issues with bullying, especially in the middle school level. And it's, for me, a little bit of a new territory because I do work in elementary ed. But for me, it kind of shines a light on the need for more we'd call it just social emotional learning. And I'm not talking about anything super fancy, but just kind of instilling the roots of kindness in one another at a young age. And then hopefully, with the hope that as kids grow older, towards middle school, even though they've got a lot of big feelings going on at that age, that they're learning to step back and think about their actions before they do it. For me personally, as an educator, I've really read a lot and learned a lot, piloted a lot of social emotional learning programs, and honestly, on the real research, the brain research that shows that certain mindfulness activities can really change the structure of your brain. So the research and the science is there to show that it works.
As a parent and a teacher, how did you handle the COVID situation with a student at home plus
It was really
your own
hard.
classroom?
Yeah, it was really hard because of the fact that where I worked, we were actually a hybrid model. I was not totally remote. So there were some days where I was at home teaching, and then there were other days that I actually did have to go to school. And my son was home in second grade full time. And it was really hard for him. It was hard on all of us. And I couldn't, normally I would have just brought him to school with me, but we weren't even allowed to do that. So it ended up being at a certain point where I had an office in our house where I would literally have my son sitting on one side and I would be working with my kids remotely on the other side and just trying to do the best we could. It was hard. And I hope to not ever have to do it again. But I will say, as an educator, I learned a lot. I mean, I had to learn how to teach in an entirely different way that I had never done before. And if I had to, I think I could do it again. I wouldn't like it though, not at all.
Now, do you think some of the issues, bullying, some of the other things that are now emerging, are we out of COVID, or are they in part due to COVID and the other socioeconomic situations?
So I think in some ways, I don't think we would ever have to go back to remote learning like we did. I feel like COVID itself needs to be treated more like the flu now, where it may flare up. People just make sure they get vaccinated if they need to. But also, kids though, even 3 years out, kids are still really feeling the effects. I did, especially last year, as a third grade teacher, I really noticed with my students the fact that there were a lot of behaviors and a lot of gaps in their learning, and I think we're going to see that for a few years. The students I had last year specifically were in kindergarten when everything shut down. So, but it feels like this year with the new kids, they were in kindergarten during remote learning and hybrid learning. There's still some learning gaps, but I think it's getting better. So, but I do think that all of the kids that came before that are older now, that are in middle and high school, still need a little extra attention, because I still think there's learning gaps from that 2.5 years of having to be remote.
So November 7th, you get elected. What do you see as the top 2 or 3 issues that this next Board of Education is going to be addressing?
Well, one thing I know that's happening here in Nashua, and it's happening all over, is a lot of curriculum change, a lot of concerns over what they've been using for literacy, especially on the elementary level. I'm dealing with this now as a teacher in Massachusetts, and that we have been using programs that are not considered scientifically researched. And I know here in Nashua, for example, the Fountains and Pinnell Literacy Program had to be thrown out because it wasn't suitable for teaching kids who are second language learners. And we see that as a challenge even in Massachusetts. So I just really want to make sure, especially on the elementary level, to make sure that we're getting those interventions in place, making sure we have some good, strong phonics instruction, science-backed curriculum, research-based, things that will actually help support students, because it's all about early intervention. It really, really is. I have a master's degree in special education, and I did my master's thesis on response to intervention, and all the research shows that the earlier we can intervene, the better. So again, hopefully if we can get in there and help support those really young kids as they become older, we don't see as many kids struggling. And also making sure that we're supporting our EL students and kids that come to us with trauma. I think there's still a lot of that around.
One hot button issue will be the redistricting on the elementary schools.
Yes.
That was pushed forward for 2 years by actions earlier this year. Any thoughts on the redistricting and what you know of it?
I don't know a ton, but from what I do understand is Mount Pleasant I know is really low in numbers, but there are other schools that seem to be kind of bursting at the seams. I would hope that we could have a plan for redistricting that would help alleviate some of that, to make sure that class sizes are still small, because I really do believe that that's important, because I don't don't think shutting down Mount Pleasant is a good idea. I know it's going to cost a lot of money to fix it or do something to make it a usable building still. And I honestly am not sure what that would entail, but I do believe that that community needs that school. So.
We don't have a daily newspaper.
I know.
And radio is limited. So for our viewers who are watching right now, why should they vote for you on November 7th?
I think people should vote for me because I am committed to public education. It is really important to me. I am a person who grew up in poverty, and education was my ticket out. I knew that if I did well in school, that I could use the skills that I learned to become a more successful citizen and an independent thinker. And I really believe that, education is important for all of us. And I really want to support that here. I really do.
And what number are you on the ballot?
I think 5.
5 on the ballot?
Yeah.
All right, Kirsten, thank
you.
you so much for being here. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for running.
Thanks.
You've been watching a special edition of eYe on Education that features the candidates for the Board of Education on the November 7th election. I'm Ed Leishas, your host. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.